So the World Cup final was... Actually, hold on, wait, we need to talk about something. The World Cup it's over. It's gone. Like, completely. Finished. The trophy has been handed out, the confetti has been swept up, the players are on planes, the fans are going home, and we are just out here, with nothing to watch, on a Tuesday. You clicked on this video expecting highlights, maybe some analysis, maybe a beautiful Messi goal replayed in slow motion from 14 different angles. And instead you got this, a video about what happens after the World Cup, which, if you are anything like the rest of the planet right now, is a topic you have been actively avoiding because acknowledging that it is over means accepting that it is over. It is over. This is your life at every level, now that the World Cup is finished. Let's grieve together. Level 1. You pick up your phone. It is a Tuesday. 2 weeks ago, a Tuesday meant a group stage match, maybe 2. Maybe a beautiful giant killing where some country with a population smaller than Miami knocked out a nation of 200 million people while the commentator completely lost his professional composure. Those were good Tuesdays. Today's Tuesday has nothing. You open the match schedule app out of pure muscle memory, the way you open it 11 times a day for the past 2 months. The schedule is empty. You stare at it. You scroll down, as if there might be a match hiding somewhere at the bottom of the empty calendar that you just have not found yet. There is not. You close the app. You open it again. Still nothing. There is a specific form of psychological confusion that happens when your brain is looking for a stimulus that has been removed after 2 months of daily conditioning. And it is not clinical, but it should probably be in the DSM because there are several 100 million people experiencing it simultaneously right now. You close the app, you open YouTube, you search Best World Cup Goals 2026. You have already watched this compilation 4 times. You watch it again. Level 2. This is something that happens at every World Cup, but hits differently this time because social media is faster now and the tournament was on home soil, and America has a very specific talent for taking things that belong to other people and making them their parasocial property. Players you had never heard of in May are now on magazine covers. The Algerian midfielder who scored in the quarterfinals has 5 million new Instagram followers and a cologne deal pending. The goalkeeper from Panama, who made 3 impossible saves and then cried during the anthem before every single match has appeared on 3 American morning talk shows. The 17-year-old from Senegal who came off the bench in the semi-final and made the entire stadium go silent with a touch that should not be physically possible. He now has a sneaker named after him. A sneaker. After 1 touch. To be fair, it was a very good touch. And then there is the social media manager for the Moroccan team who made their official tournament account funny, genuinely entertainingly funny, and is now being offered a Netflix deal. For running a football account, we live in a time. Level 3. The memes. Oh, the memes. Every World Cup generates its own specific comedic mythology, and 2026 was especially generous in this regard. There is the meme of the England fan who, in the exact moment that England conceded the winning goal against Argentina in the semi-final, had the specific expression of a man whose entire spiritual framework was being dismantled in real time. It is currently being used for everything. Someone posted it in response to a recipe going wrong on a cooking forum. It was appropriate. There is the meme of the American pundit who, in covering the U.S. team's departure from the tournament, began a sentence with, "The good news is baseball season," and did not get to finish it because the camera cut away, and the 3 words baseball season dash are now shorthand for a specific kind of painful optimism. There is the meme of Mbappé's face in the final whistle moment. We do not need to describe it. You know the face. The memes are not going anywhere. The tournament is gone. The memes have permanence. They have become language. And in 4 years, when people who are not following football in 2026 encounter these memes for the first time, they will not understand the context. They will just know that a man made a face, and that the face was correct for the situation. Level 4. This one is specific to the host country. America hosted the 2026 World Cup alongside Canada and Mexico, which already required a small but meaningful adjustment from a country that traditionally measures international significance by whether something has its own ESPN segment. But the real geography education happened in the group stage, because the expanded 48-team format meant that nations were present at this World Cup that American sports coverage had never previously had occasion to explain to its audience. At various points over the past 2 months, American television anchors had to locate on a map Morocco, which is in Africa, not the Middle East. And yes, there is a difference. Senegal, which is also in Africa, a different part of Africa. Africa has parts. This was news to some. New Zealand, which is technically Aotearoa, and which has been doing fine for several thousand years without American sports coverage acknowledging its existence. Uzbekistan. Just Uzbekistan. An anchor looked directly at the camera during the Uzbekistan coverage and said, and we quote, "A fascinating country that we are learning so much about today." They had been learning about it for approximately 11 minutes. To America's credit, and this is genuine, by the end of the tournament, the average American could point to more countries on a map than at any point in recent recorded history. It was the greatest geography lesson since Google Maps, and it was free, with the purchase of one World Cup broadcast.
Level 5. The fans. Let us talk about the fans. Because for 2 months, the fans had somewhere to put everything. The passion, the chanting, the face paint that was genuinely decorative and not at all embarrassing because everyone around you was wearing face paint, and judgment was suspended for the duration of the tournament by mutual agreement. The jerseys. You wore the jersey every match day. Sometimes you wore it to work. Your colleagues were very understanding. One of them also wore a jersey. You are now friends. Post-tournament friendship. One of the under-discussed side effects of major sporting events. But now the matches are gone and the energy has nowhere to go, so it goes to arguments on the internet. Specifically, arguments about what might have happened if the referee had made a different decision in a match that is over and that no argument will change. The referee is not reading these arguments. Nobody connected to the outcome of these matches is reading these arguments. The arguments are being had between strangers at 3 in the morning for reasons that are, if examined honestly, less about football and more about the fact that the football is gone and arguing about football is the closest available substitute. This is not healthy. This is very relatable. Level 6. The players flew home. And for the countries that won, the homecoming was one of the specific, unrepeatable joys that only international football produces. Argentina landed to a reception that was, by all accounts, somewhere between the end of World War II and the Second Coming, depending on the age of the Argentinian being interviewed about it. Streets filled. People climbed structures that should not be climbed. A man in Buenos Aires described the feeling as better than anything that has ever happened, and also somehow everything I expected. That sentence is perfect, and no amount of literary craft could improve it. For the countries that did not win, specifically France, the homecoming was different. Not bad exactly, just quieter. Mbappé arrived back in Paris and was extremely gracious in defeat and said all the right things, and nobody could find fault with anything he said. And yet somehow, the vibe of the entire country for the week following was the specific vibe of a nation that had been to a beautiful party and then arrived home to find they had left the oven on. They are fine. France is fine. France is always fine. But they have thoughts. Level 7. The transfer window. Specifically calibrated to activate immediately after a major tournament, as if the football calendar is specifically designed by people who understand that fans cannot be left alone with their thoughts for longer than approximately 72 hours. The transfer window opened and immediately produced the following. A rumor that a player you love is leaving the club you support. A rumor that a player you do not love is coming to the club you support. A number that is being spent on a player that, if you divide it by the number of children currently without access to clean water in a country that was just in the World Cup, produces a figure that you close the tab on because you did not come to the transfer news for that kind of perspective. A 17-year-old from Brazil whose highlight reel has 1,000 views on YouTube and who is being described by every major newspaper simultaneously as the next Messi. There have been approximately 412 next Messis since 2005. None of them were the next Messi. Messi was the next Messi. Messi was always the next Messi. The next Messi is Messi. This is a circle we have been running for 20 years, and we will run it for 20 more. Level 8. In the absence of actual football to discuss, the internet has defaulted to its secondary purpose, which is generating opinions about football. The hot takes are here. They have been here, technically, since the final whistle. But they have aged now. They have had time to develop. They have been cross-posted and subtweeted and screenshot and quoted, and the original context has, in several notable cases, completely detached from the original statement. And the statement is now just floating in the ecosystem being argued about by people who are not entirely sure where it came from. Take 1. Mbappé would have won if the refereeing had been different. Counter take. Mbappé scored more goals in this tournament than almost every player in history. He lost. These things can both be true. Take 2. American football is actually more exciting than soccer. This take was posted by an American. It has been ratioed by 17 countries simultaneously. The American has logged off. Take 3. The World Cup expansion to 48 teams has diluted the competition. Level 9. 4 years. That is how long until the next one. 4 years of club football, of transfer windows, of referees making decisions that seem unreasonable, of 17-year-olds from Brazil being called the next Messi. 4 years of the schedule being full again after this. 4 years during which America, having hosted the thing, will slowly process what it experienced, and will have opinions about football that are more informed than they were in May, and will confidently say things like pressing game and false nine at dinner parties without being entirely certain what they mean. 4 years during which the memes will evolve, and some of them will lose their meaning, and some of them will become immortal. 4 years, which is also, incidentally, how long it took Messi to go from 35-year-old World Cup winner to 39-year-old World Cup winner. He will be 43 at the next one. He will not play. Probably. Almost definitely. We said this before the 2026 tournament. He might play. The man defies the framework. See you in 4 years. Or, and this is more likely, see you next week when the Premier League starts. Because we are not actually going anywhere. None of us are going anywhere. The schedule is empty today. It will not be empty for long. And the moment it is not empty anymore, the moment there is a match on a Tuesday, any match, between any two teams, for any reason, we will be exactly where we have always been. On the sofa. Watching. Subscribe. Drop your grief stage in the comments. I'm reading all of them.